Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Sprites of Life podcast. I'm Lucas,
I'm Chris.
and Don decided to go fishing, which is like peak Don. Then again, it's winter, and he kind of always does this anyway, so we're cool
It's
with
his
it.
annual ice fishing trip.
Yeah, I know. I mean, he told us he was sorry that he couldn't make it, and we do expect fish pictures. We were gonna get them one way or the other, right?
Yeah, but if we say we want them, then he's giving us something.
I mean, he
Versus,
was going to miss a super episode. One might say a superb episode today, right? I mean, everyone's pretty excited about it. It's coming. I mean, we
but
feel
I,
like we
I
should be
mean,
doing it.
is there something happening this weekend? I don't know.
Well, according to my naturalist friend, something about a superb owl being showed off. Everybody
Oh
else is
yes,
yeah, no, the Kendrick Lamar concert that's happening between like this weird sport, like that's coming
yeah,
on pretty.
the Kendrick Lamar concert in New Orleans.
Yeah, right. Oh, I can't wait to watch it. I guess they're gonna play some sports in between. Like everyone needs an opening act and a closing act, I guess. So yeah, we're gonna.
You gotta break up the like 10 times you play Not Like Us.
Yeah. Okay. No. Hey. With what? Screaming of the word mustard as loud as you can. So we are talking about football. We are talking about the big game this Sunday. We're gonna make sure that y'all enjoy learning about the big game. Because I'll be honest, Chris, I don't know much about the game, like from a big standpoint. I watch it every year, but I don't know the rules. I just watch to see the commercials and eat chicken wings. But you actually know this.
I've never played football, but I have followed it and followed it basically my entire life and love the sport, love the history of the sport. So I figure we'll do a little bit of some of the a brief history of the league and how we got to the championship game that we know and love. And then I thought it would be fun if we filled out and if we filled out a football roster with Pokemon.
And oh god. Okay, I know you have a list ready. I am ready to destroy that list. I got thoughts. I got thoughts in this head. But
The the Pokemon Football League will be born today.
yes. The real questions will be answered, such as will Taylor Swift be there? The answer,
Yes.
yeah. Uh,
The answer is yes.
yeah, sure. Why not? All right. So we'll do science stuff. I know it seems. You know what? When it comes to science stuff, I'm going to find the most inappropriate like science story to tell, just because, to be honest, the other science news is people getting defunded and losing their jobs. Um, so there are people who go out into the Amazon and they like to do research on specific wildlife. They recently did a study on Amazon river dolphins. They've been going down for 4 years as a Canadian research group to travel to the Amazon River and study river dolphins' social interactions. Um, the researchers discovered a very particular behavior um, between 36 separate species. Now, I just want you to guess what they were doing. Like, it's something foul.
Dude, you're talking dolphins, so they could be literally be doing anything.
Okay, the foulest thing I can say on a podcast where children could be listening.
Something involving poop.
Oh, you're close. It's pee.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, they discovered 13 separate instances of male dolphins flipping onto their back, going to the surface, and peeing a stream of pee just out into the air, all willy nilly.
I
And we
mean, you
don't know.
be around a couple baby boys, they do that too. It's just good fun.
I mean, there's pictures, there's videos of it, and to be honest, it's weird. Not only because we don't know what they're just doing it for seemingly no reason, but like the other dolphins come and take a look at it. Like the other male dolphins will go up right next to it, which is very weird, given that they don't have a sense of taste that much and they don't really have a sense of smell. So,
Why do you need any other reason than check this out?
I mean, with other animals, there are different ways to use urine. Urine is a sign for multiple different animals of reproductive fertility, territorial information, signs of aggression. Urine is a marker for a lot of animals. Case in point, giraffes and rhinos have something called a Jacob's organ. We used to have one that was pretty powerful, but now we just evolved away from it. The Jacob's organ helps kind of like a highway to the brain. It's also what snakes use to help kind of translate smell when they taste the air. In the case of these other mammals, they're doing it because they can actually taste the pee of another rhino and tell when they're ready to reproduce, or the pee of another giraffe. Like they can use that sense to be ready to, make babies, which, is gross, sounds super nasty to us, but it is a way of how they survive. For the dolphins, it's not to the females, it's not for any of that. It's just straight up, hey bro, check this out. And the others are like, dude, that's so cool, bro. Dolphins really, really just fantastic. Again, there's still research that needs to be done at it. This is a fairly recent story, but otherwise, we think it's some form of social or communicative function, according to the paper. It might be a sound thing of the sound of the water hitting because they do have excellent hearing. This is all maybes and speculation. What we do know is that it is not an accident and it keeps happening. So it is at least a unique behavior of a complex social species. And to be honest, if aliens supervised us at some point, they probably would see us doing some weird stuff too and not know why we do it. So there you go.
Yeah,
Dolphins pee into
judge
the air.
judge not lest you be judged.
Yeah, yeah. Except no, I judge dolphins all the time, every day. They're monsters. They must be judged. All right. Okay. If I were to tell you for just gaming news in general, I did not expect for Pokemon to release an apology twice in 2 weeks. That doesn't happen.
No,
To
it
the
really
to
doesn't.
to the Zoomers and the Alphas here, we're old. We're like in the millennials in our 30s and whatnot. We don't. Pokemon doesn't apologize. Pokemon says, "Suck it up and buy more of our stuff anyway." That's just how we've accepted that as fans. But apparently, the Pokemon TCG Pocket screwed up so badly when they implemented the trading feature that it basically forced their hand. Now, I don't play the game that much, so if someone says I'm saying it wrong, feel free to bother me in the comments for all I care. Um, the game is supposed to allow you to trade cards. However, it basically created a system where you have to break down multiple super high rarity cards to get one super high rarity card in return. It limits the selection that can be offered for trade with anyone. It's not great. You need trading stamina, which is something that you can charge over time. This is something tons of games have this mechanic, especially gotcha games. There's just tons of rules. There's tons of things that you have to be in place of. It doesn't match the fun of going to your buddy and being like, "Give me this for that." I mean, in Pokemon Go, they had some restrictions, right?
Not I mean, there's, like, Stardust and that kinda stuff, and you but, like, that's all it's, like, it depended on your friendship, so if you were really good friends, it was relatively cheap, and if you were and then also, based on my experience with what I've played of Pocket, farming the resources in Go is a lot easier than farming the resources in Pocket, which is part of the reason I stopped playing Pocket because there's just too many resources that were too hard to figure out how to track, and I was just like, "Nah, I'm good. I got 2 phone games. I'm solid."
I mean, that's kind of just on purpose. That's how gotcha games are supposed to work. They bombard you with currencies, and then you have to work for them. It works for Zenless Zero and Genshin Impact. It works for all these major gotcha games. And this is no different. The problem is now there are, I wouldn't call them normies because that just feels like weird, but there are casual players, people who just wanted to get into this because they loved playing the games as kids. And now they're being thrown into the gotcha grinder for the first time. And it's just like, oh, this sucks. This sucks so hard. And now everyone's really, really mad. But according to a post that the Pokemon trading card game Pocket Group put out, basically they explained that the reason there were so many limiting barriers was because they wanted to make a quote fair environment for all players, preserving the fun of collecting cards at the core to the Pokemon TCG Pocket experience. They were basically afraid of people abusing things with bots.
Which they would
However,
do.
yeah, thanks to feedback, we understand that some of the restrictions put in place preventing players from being able to casually enjoy the features that intended, actively inventing ways to improve, blah, 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 blah. Basically, corporate speak for, yeah, you caught us, we screwed up, we'll try and fix it. Whether that goes really well or not so great, I don't know. Apparently, according to the last line here, going forward, we also plan to offer multiple ways to obtain trade tokens, including through the event distribution. So they're going to use this as a way to apologize and hopefully just keep that money going. Because this game made disgusting money in the time it's
Yes.
been out. They don't want to
And it
lose
will
that.
continue to make money even though people are mad at it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, man. The gotcha market's finicky. Like, When there are certain people who they play these things and this company's looking for whales and Pokemon's a way to do it. But I don't know if they don't fix it, these games can go down. Pokemon is not unstoppable. It is just another company. Anyway,
Well, you know what? They'll figure it out, and then it'll bring everybody back, and they'll just release more cards, and everyone will be happy
not
until
me.
they
I'm
screw up
already got that
again,
Zenless.
and they'll apologize again.
Hey, I have that Zenless Zone Zero like locked in on my brain already. I got enough gotcha in my life. Thank you very much. All right, that's all I got on science stuff and gaming stuff. To quote one of the funniest lines in The Longest Yard, can you teach me to football?
Oh my god, I can't believe you just quoted The Longest Yard. We're gonna
The
talk.
Longest Yard is arguably one of the greatest PG-13 comedies ever made. How dare you?
I mean, I do love The Longest Yard. I think that
Yeah.
there are better ones out there and better football movies out there. Like, have you seen The
Oh,
Replacements?
there are way better football movies, but again, PG-13 comedy. The only other one I like beside that is Dodgeball. But anyway,
Did you see The Replacements?
oh yeah, that was really good. With Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, with Keanu Reeves and Gene Hackman.
Oh yeah, that was pretty funny. I liked it when they flipped that dude's car. That was fun.
Yes.
Good movie. Great stuff. All right.
Okay. So we'll start off with a very, very concise, brief history of the NFL. Football as a sport is one of the relatively new ones. Most sports tend to be. They tend to be things that came about as people started to have leisure time to partake in such things. But American football, and this is the last time I will use American football to classify it because that's just how it's going to be. American football as a game evolved from soccer and rugby in the college ranks in the late 1800s. And you see this actually a lot with how sports kind of started and rose in popularity into the professional ranks as you had colleges make club teams that then played each other a lot. Then the club team players went on to be like, hey, we're really good at this. We're going to keep playing. And they played into the professional ones. And there were typically a bunch of different professional leagues where there was a lot of turnover, consolidation, teams starting, teams failing until they really solidified into the leagues that we know today. So the first official recognized game of American football was played between Rutgers and Princeton in 1869.
That sounds like the most hoity-toity game of any professional sport I've ever heard.
And it's like, it's like the football powerhouses of Rutgers and Princeton.
That just doesn't. Okay, I don't know enough about football to know if that's terrible, but it sounds terrible.
They are not known for their football programs. They're good schools. They have good sports programs. They're not really known for their football stuff anymore. Football largely remained a college sport before professional teams started sprouting up. The bulk of them in the Midwest. So the NFL, as we know it, was organized in 1920. So you had roughly 50 years between when the first game was played and when what would become the NFL was started. So that league was originally called the American Professional Football Association, the APFA, if you will. And what happened is you had leagues at this point in time. There was a bunch of leagues that were based around by states. So you had like an Ohio league, you had a New York league, things like that. You had a couple of these leagues be like, hey, let's join together, draw from a common pool of players so that our league has the best players. So the teams that you had in that were the Akron Pros, the Buffalo All Americans, the Canton Bulldogs, the Chicago Cardinals, the Chicago Tigers, the Cleveland Tigers, the Columbus Panhandles, the Dayton Triangles, the Decatur Staleys, the Detroit Heralds, the Hammond Pros, the Muncie Flyers, the Rochester Jeffersons, and the Rock Island Independents.
I'm sorry, back up. There was the triangles?
The Dayton Triangles.
The Dayton why? There are so many other animals they could have stolen from. Heck, they used tigers twice. Just use another one.
Why not just pick another? I believe they were named after their park. They're like home field.
I'm looking up the Dayton triangles now to see what they looked like. Just because I want to see if they had like any sort of weird mascot or no, it's just a triangle. It is
Yes,
just a triangle. It is a dude running with a football. Have you
the
seen their
triangle.
logo?
Oh yeah, it's a triangle.
Look at this thing. This
They
is
know what
this is the
they know what
this
they
is
are.
I know, but like this is really dumb.
Of those teams I listed, do you want to guess how many are still teams today?
Um Well, I know Cleveland still has the Cleveland Browns, right? That's a team?
That is a team. It is not this team,
Okay.
though.
Oh, okay, okay. Did the Detroit Heralds become the Detroit Lions?
No.
Okay. No, Chicago Bulls are basketball. I don't know. Man, that's a lot.
So, the Chicago Cardinals would become the
Okay.
Arizona Cardinals.
Okay.
They moved a couple times in between then, but that is historically the same franchise. And then the Decatur Staleys would become the Chicago Bears.
Oh, did they also have a history of failure and disappointment?
I am not sure what their record was.
Okay, because one of the few things that all everything I learned about football is learned through memes, and between them and the Dallas Cowboys, there's a lot of memes about failure.
Mm. Yes. No, they haven't had a good run of it since the 80s. But one other team of note in that crew is the Canton Bulldogs. Canton Bulldogs are one of the like landmark franchises of professional football. That's why the Pro Football Hall of Fame is actually in Canton, Ohio. If you notice in those teams that I listed, a lot of those were Ohio cities. There were some Indiana cities and New York cities. That was kind of like where it started. The Canton Bulldogs had probably one of the most famous players in the early years of football, and probably one of the highest profile players of all time. It was a man by the name of Jim Thorpe, one of the greatest athletes we've seen.
I do know him. I've heard his story of basically, I'm just going to play whatever sport I want and just be amazing.
Yes, so Jim Thorpe was a citizen of the Sauk and Fox Nation. He actually was the first Indigenous American to win an Olympic medal. He won two of them. Weirdly enough, both of those medals were stripped from him at some point because he played professional baseball, and they said, "You're not an amateur," because at this point in time, the Olympics cared about that for some reason. Eventually, posthumously, they were restored, probably after the '82 Dream Team, and they were like, "You know what? Professionals are fine." Uh, but Jim Thorpe played for, I think, of the in the original league. I think Jim Thorpe played for maybe like 5 or 6 of the teams. When the actual league formed, though, in 1920, Thorpe was actually named the first president, and he would oversee the league and its early years and how it formed, all the teams. There was a lot of turnover. Like the teams would fail mid-season and just like shudder, or they would. Or I think of the teams I listed that started, I think 4 ended after the first season. So eventually, 1922, the APFA would change its name to the National Football League, NFL, a much better acronym, much easier to say. So overall, the league was pretty successful. There was a lot of other football leagues that would sprout up that they would sort of choke out. You had roughly 3 iterations of what would be called the American Football League, one of which gave us the Rams that we still have today. And then you also have the All America Football Conference, which would give us the 49ers and the Browns. But around the 1950s, a lot of these were gone. And the only real competitive, and it wasn't even that competitive league, was the Canadian Football League in North America.
What were their team names?
I have no idea what the Canadian. I mean, you can look at the what the teams now are, but I have no idea what the Canadian Football League's original teams were.
Wait, they're still around?
Oh yeah, the CFL's a thing. The Grey Cup every year.
They don't play against us, like it's not like a hockey situation. For yeah, whatever, bro. Just show up and play.
No, because a lot of the players are players that couldn't cut it in the NFL.
Oh,
That sounds really rude to say.
that's how
The
they just get the snot kicked out of them.
yeah, but circa 1960, you would get an upstart league that would disrupt the cart and lead to where we are today. So, in 1960, the American Football League would be started for the fourth time. This league was spurred by owners who were either denied NFL teams at some point or were minority team owners in the NFL looking to become full fledged owners. The original 8 teams in this AFL were the Boston Patriots, the Buffalo Bills, the Dallas Texans, the Denver Broncos, the Houston Oilers, the LA Chargers, the Titans of New York, and the Oakland Raiders. A
Are
lot of
these
those
the
names
same
should.
Titans? Are these the same
Uh,
Titans that play for Nashville? Is it
The
Nashville?
Titans of New York became the New York Jets.
Really? Okay.
Yes. A lot of these teams should be really familiar because Boston Patriots, New England Patriots, Buffalo Bills, yes, Denver
Oakland Raiders.
Broncos, uh, Oakland Raiders, LA Chargers. The Houston Oilers became the Tennessee Titans, which is
Okay.
why they wear those powder blue Oiler uniforms every one game every year.
So when did like all of this really pop off? Like aside from just being a college sport or something you played between like I don't know Depression era food lines and World War II, when did this like become what we know as like the hype, the craze, the lunacy, the fun?
So it really, I mean, it's hard to compare to like with what it is today, you know? But if you want to talk about when things really started to pop off for the league, it was when television came about, when
Okay.
people could watch the games and not have to be at the games.
Do you think football is just such a faster sport than baseball that it's much easier? Or do you think it's, I don't know, with boxing, you could do it via radio, and that's pretty quick. With baseball, you could do it via radio, it was pretty quick. Maybe I think the action of football, like there's so many people doing stuff that it just doesn't translate to radio. Like imagine trying to do radio calls for like everything. I know they still do it today, but like I don't know if it had the same feeling or impact.
So the average MLB game last year was 2.5 hours. The average NFL game is 3 hours and 12 minutes.
Oh. Yeah, I can't do that for that long.
I
And
think it's
boxing
more,
only takes an hour at most.
uh, but TV pretty much like what would happen in the 60s between these two leagues was largely possible because of TV and what TV brought, which was a lot of money. So the AFL wanted to stand out as a league. They knew they needed to make a big impact right away, and they had some early players in the league in terms of the owners who would make some decisions that would make their league more appealing to TV advertisers, TV audiences. Some things that they did that made them stick out, especially on TV, they put the players' names on the back of the jerseys. Not something the NFL did. But that made it easy to like identify players when you're watching on TV, as good as the resolution was at that time. They used really, really bright and colorful jerseys that would pop on TV. Like, go on and look up the Houston Oilers jersey, Lucas.
Okay, all right. Am I gonna be blown away?
It's one of my favorite jerseys of all time.
Is it this disgustingly blue one?
Yes.
Good God.
It's but, like, imagine that in, like, a 1960s TV. That would really pop, you know?
Okay. Yeah, I see it. I get the appeal, but that would really like that would pop off. And honestly, good merch. Solid merch.
In terms of the in-game experience, they were the league that put the game clock visible in the stadium. So before that, the referee had the stopwatch, and that was it. You just had to wait for the referee to be like, "Yep, that's the quarter."
Yeah, wow, that would be annoying.
Yeah, and then they also played 14 games instead of the NFL playing 12. So more games, more entertainment. So early years were pretty rough, but because of some of the choices they made and the deals that they had, they secured some lucrative TV deals because they secured some lucrative TV deals that would allow them to attract really high profile talent, and that's when things really started to matter to the NFL because they would start to get into bidding wars for college players that were coming into the professional ranks. So in the 60s, there was two really high profile players. One was Gale Sayers. So at both leagues would have their own drafts, and it was not uncommon for players to be drafted by both leagues. And so, like, Gale Sayers was drafted by the Chicago Bears and an AFL team, I can't remember which one, and Sayers would eventually sign with the Chicago Bears, become a Hall of Famer. Joe Namath, quarterback for Alabama, drafted by both leagues, drafted by the Bears in the NFL, also drafted by the Titans, now the New York Jets, and he chose to play for the Jets, which was a major, major coup for the AFL to take one of the highest profile college players of all time and bring him to their league. So there was this sort of back and forth bidding for talent, which you see a lot when there's these sort of rival leagues popping up. What really spurred the merger, though, is before that, there was sort of a gentleman's agreement to not snipe players from different leagues. And one of the NFL teams signed a kicker from the AFL. And at that point, it was like, we're either going to start stealing each other's players all around, or we're just going to become one league and get past this.
And so
So
I'm going to assume we're all one big happy family now.
they merged.
Okay.
about the mid 60s. I think it was announced in 66 was when they were the first fully merged season. And what this would mean is that they would largely play their own conference like they do today, but you would also play teams from the opposing conferences. And ultimately, at the end of the season, there would be a playoff, and you would have one conference play the AFL play each other in the conference, and the NFL play each other in the conference, and then the two best teams from each league would then meet in the league championship. And we would have two of these championships play before we actually got the name that we know and love of the big game today. So they actually played two when it was just the NFL championship. Nothing special, no fancy name. They did do the Roman numerals, I believe. But if you don't know, Lucas, the first two were won by the Green Bay Packers.
I knew that one. That I did know, mainly because of my bosses at work. 3 of them are Packers fans.
Yes. And this was important because the NFL basically kept like big brothering the AFL. Like they did not think of them as a serious league. They did not think they could compete. And the Packers just dominated both teams. And it was just like, yeah, okay, whatever. We'll still win everything. It was the third Super Bowl when the Baltimore Colts won that really showed that the NFL could keep up, or the AFL could keep up. And then the Super Bowl 4 was won by the Kansas City Chiefs. And so you had back-to-back AFL, NFL, twofers, and so that's really then you get into the '70s and you have the Cowboys and the Steelers and the rivalries start to take hold, and that's when sort of the league really started to pick up, take off, and it became this massive behemoth that we have today. Now, as a merger, this is one of the most successful league mergers in the history of pro sports.
More successful than the WWE?
I can't speak to that. I do not know wrestling. But, uh, every single team from the AFL was merged into the NFL. That doesn't always happen. I think it was the NBA when they merged with their highest competitor, they actually cut 4 teams. So this and then a lot of these teams, like I said, are still around today. So this was a very, very successful merger. A couple other leagues would pop up over time. I think that the closest competitor to disrupting the cart was the USFL in the 1990s or early 80s, somewhere around there. And they started to snipe some of the players, the high profile players. That's when it started to get a little bit dicey because like Joe Namath and Reggie White, some Hall of Fame NFL players that started in the other league.
Gotcha. I'm trying to think about I'm just trying to think about, like, how all this back and forth over this is some this is not something like a nerd would know. This is like honestly, like, I am, like, so blown away by just how much work was done to create a field where people could smash their heads together and get traumatic brain injury.
Where you could have minor car crashes on a minute by minute basis.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, from a marketing standpoint, I'm understanding of like the 90s where especially where it popped off. Again, the 80s and the 90s were when they had the halftime shows starting up. And so that's when you got all these amazing musical celebrities showing up. And that has been everything from amazing, awe-inspiring, controversial, problematic. Like there's been so many Super Bowl shows that have had such different effects on our culture that I don't know. I think that's one of the reasons why people watch it is because they know that the halftime show is like a huge deal.
I mean, we're not even talking about the commercials and like the Apple commercial that completely disrupted like the marketplace with how awesome that commercial was. But
Or we could talk about how they were doing cryptocurrency ones a few years ago with a guy who literally got caught doing a massive billions of dollar crypto scam. That was
yes.
fun.
But Lucas, we are here to, I guess, start the Pokemon Football League, where we are going to have our own little draft where we make a full team off of Pokemon and who we think are going to be really good.
Okay. Hang on, wait. Before we start, I have to go and pull up my Pokemon list. I have the list of all the Pokemon. All right. We do have to. Should we set some ground rules?
I've come up with some ground rules.
Okay.
So first of all, abilities are a okay.
Mm, okay.
Abilities and moves do apply here.
Okay.
as far as like flying types go, we're gonna put like a ceiling on how high they can go, which is not much more than like your average jump. So we can't have like Charizard flying 30 feet into the air to catch a pass.
So at most 9 feet in the air, maybe
Yeah,
8 feet,
something like
maybe 8 feet in the
yeah,
air.
yeah. And then it's not really a rule, but they have to be able to like carry the football, you know?
Okay, they so because I'm looking at a picture of Reggie Lecky, and I'm like, I don't know if you can catch anything.
So and also and like red yeah, so that's that is my other stipulation is they kind of have to have to do things. Also no
Cleavor is out.
Cleavor is probably out. He's not going to be hacking up the competition.
Okay, got it.
So I we're going to get the easy one out of the way first. And we're
Okay,
just going to go straight with the football, rugby, Pokemon, whatever you want to call it. We're going to make the quarterback Passimian.
okay,
And this is pretty much no brainer. You tell anybody we're doing this is probably gonna be the first one that comes out into people's minds. It's literally a Pokemon. He's in a football stance. It says in the dex entries that they throw they throw the ball between each other. They have team dynamics. They follow a boss leader or a leader. They all know their assigned roles and they do it. Through competition, the group survives. They are competitive. They play to win. And I really like that it has the ability Defiant.
okay. Do you know anything about real lemurs?
No.
Okay, I'm going to add some biology to this episode. Gosh darn it. So, lemurs are primates in the loosest sense of the word. If you pull up the primate family tree, they are very separate from the rest of the primates. The best way I was ever taught was by one animal care person who said that they are primate bodies on squirrel hardware, on squirrel software. They're
Okay.
just not, they don't have the same amazing problem solving skills as their other primate cousins. That does not mean that they are inherently like dumb. It just makes them a lot more instinctual with how they do things. That they can still figure things out, and they are all found in one place in the world. Can you guess where that is?
Madagascar?
Yep, every lemur species is found in Madagascar. The one that this one seems to be based off is the ring-tailed lemur, which is a very common one that you find in human care facilities. It is like most lemurs, I believe it is. I believe it's either threatened or let me pull that up again. Ring-tailed lemurs. I need to see if they are threatened or they're considered critically endangered these days. Yep, endangered. All right, cool. Needed to make sure, and unfortunately, it hasn't changed. Lemurs are generally in danger due to habitat destruction, but if you look at a ringtail lemur, you've all seen them in zoos and aquariums and places like that before. Would you like to guess why this lemur is seen in more zoos and aquariums than others?
Why?
Most lemurs are nocturnal. Most lemurs do not like to be out in the daytime and the night, but these are diurnal lemurs, so they were out and running around in the daytime. They've also been known to have a stink gland that they will spray and use on their tail to like threaten others, which is just fantastic. They can be aggressive, territorial, bitey. It is really sad that their entire like ecosystems are ravaged through forestry, vanilla, coffee, coca. Like they're basically their entire island being ripped apart for profits to help the natives survive. It's also not the first. It's not the only lemur we have. We have Graphii, which is a eye, the lemur that paints out. We talked about him before.
Yeah.
Sorry, I wanted to make sure that we didn't forget that lemurs are they are super cool. Their jumping ability is phenomenal. So as far as the QB's role, isn't their role to throw? Like that's the thing. Just chuck it.
Yes. I mean, they can run, but yes, they're largely there to chuck the ball around and be the leaders.
All right. Okay. Trying to think if the I don't know.
Minor
I mean,
well, one more point about Passimian, because this is very different from actual lemurs. Do you actually know how big Passimian is?
I can pull it up, but I want you to tell me.
He is 6'7" and 180 pounds.
Excuse you?
So to put into
Six
context,
seven.
yeah, 6'7". There is a quarterback in the NFL plays for the Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen. Very, very large human. Josh Allen is 6'5" and about, I think last I looked, like 220, 230 pounds.
I'm
So
just looking
Persimmon
up
is
that this is dude, did they just inject corn into this man's diet?
Persimmon is bigger than Josh Allen, and Josh Allen does have like 50 pounds on him. But like I think that's in as far as Pokemon goes, that's actually probably gonna be our most even comp between a Pokemon and an actual football player.
Yeah, no, that's pretty great. Honestly, I mean, as far as I understand a quarterback's role of just chuck it, you don't need to be bulky. You need to be able to just throw accurately.
You should look up some Josh Allen highlights. You'll see what a bulky quarterback can do.
Basically, just beat the snot out of people.
Yeah.
All right.
Uh okay, so we're gonna keep moving. We're gonna
All right.
go right behind the quarterback. We're gonna go running back.
Hmm.
Did you pick a quarterback?
For a quarterback, honestly, this is the only one where I'm gonna be like, this fits. Like it's the only one that are like, yeah, yeah, that fits it. Now, what do we have? What are we working on next?
So we're going running back.
Uh-huh.
And for running back, I picked Blaziken. So one of the things that a running back can do is running backs can tire out defensive lines and defenses by having to chase them all over the field. Run games tire out defenses. And if you have a good running back that doesn't get tired over the course of the game, they get better as the game goes on. So there's a running back, one of my favorite current players, Derrick Henry for the Baltimore Ravens. If you want to see a very large man, look up Derrick Henry.
Good heavens.
Derrick Henry, what I think makes him really special is he gets better as the game goes on because he doesn't get tired and he beats the snot out of defenses. So he just keeps pounding and pounding and pounding, and you can have the best run defense in the league, but by the fourth quarter, after trying to tackle this guy for 45 minutes or whatever, he just breaks you every game. And then in the fourth quarter, he just and so that's how I see Speed Boost playing out is he just keeps accelerating, keeps getting better as the game goes, and you just get so tired chasing this fire chicken around the field constantly.
Honestly, I we should probably just find his socials, like just send him a Blaziken, like, bruh, this you?
This
See what he does. No, no, I'm thinking I've been going through the list on some speedy creatures to kind of like match this up. We still have to play by the rules. Like we can't go underground or anything, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, you can't go no Doug trios here.
No Doug trios, no like, yeah, no teleporting. You got to be able to run in your own 2 feet sort of deal. Yeah, I'm going through the list here. Blaziken just might be the best running back that you can have, as long as the Okay, I did have one idea. Hear me out. It's another bird, but it has no hands. Dodrio. So hear me out. Hear me out. If Dodrio takes the left head and the right head, and they just headbutt the ball together, they might be able to hold on to it.
Look, if you can find a way to make that work, more power to you.
Okay, because hear me out. There's yes, Blaziken can get the speed boost, but eventually everything tires out. Everything has its limit. If there's something I know from biology is that ostriches take a very long time to tire out. This thing is going to keep running close to 40 miles per hour just constantly. Like it's not going to stop no matter what. It's just going to keep going. Like granted, it's not the speed boost or it doesn't have the credibility as a Blaziken, but if it's somehow able to like get its two heads to cooperate, we might just have ourselves a show.
Yes. Now Lucas, I'm sending you a video real quick. Just so you can see part of the reason of what makes Derrick Henry great, and you can see why this might be a Blaziken moment.
Okay, okay, I'm just gonna watch this scene. He just punched that dude.
It's a stiff arm, but yeah, no, like, and he's just throwing around grown men.
Okay. Oh, wait. Question. Do they have to use their feet?
What do you mean?
I would be thrilled. He's not the fastest, but it'd just be hilarious watching Golden go. Hear me out.
I
Just
mean,
Golden go. I mean, you know how much they pay NFL players to do their thing? Like the absurd amount of money they're paid. What other Pokemon could embody such wealth than Golden Go just skateboarding, doing like freaking ollie 180s as he's just taking the ball down the field.
I will allow Golden go because we put a ceiling on how they could go, but as long as they are within that ceiling, between the ground and the ceiling, they're okay. Uh,
Okay, okay.
so,
Alright. Sorry,
uh,
those are my 2.
so next, I kind of lumped tight ends and wide receivers together. But I was trying to think of who would be the best pass catcher. And you know what? I came up with one that I did not think of, or think one that I did not expect, which would be Ambipom.
I mean, he's got the hands for it, he's got the tail.
He's
Makes
got the
sense.
hands. He got 4 hands
Mhm.
that he can catch with, and bigger hands than almost any other Pokemon I would venture. But also, Ambipom is stupid fast.
Okay. I was wondering about that too. How fast is it?
Its base speed I think is 115.
That's faster than a Charizard.
Like I think the average like speed is like 75 or 77. So like it's up there. This thing can definitely move. It is fast and it's got the hands. Uh
Now
one of my favorite stats about receivers, or one of my favorite facts about receivers, is there was a gentleman who played for the Detroit Lions named Calvin Johnson. His nickname was Megatron because he was gigantic. There was a show that was called Sport Science where they like broke down the science of players and all that kind of stuff. And they determined that Calvin Johnson's catch radius. So basically, if you threw the ball within this radius, he was able to make the catch. And Calvin Johnson's radius was a two-car garage.
Jesus.
So if you put him in the middle of a two-car garage from end to end of that house, he could make the catch.
That's unsettling.
And so that's where I see Passimian here. I see Passimian as sort of a Calvin Johnson with the extra hand length and the speed, and he's pretty bulky too. And we'll get into fake out later, but having fake out helps get out of jams at the line from cornerbacks. So I think Passimian is actually going to be a really sneaky good player here.
But you said Passimian, you mean
Oh, sorry,
Ambipom?
sorry, Ambipom. Yes, Ambipom be a really
Okay,
sneaky good player.
I can counter that. I have one. It's going to be a controversial pick. Salazzle.
Okay,
So Salazzle has a 117 speed.
okay,
Salazzle also knows Fake Out. But
yeah,
Salazzle has 2 abilities. Corrosion, which wouldn't be very helpful, but also Oblivious. Prevents itself from being infatuated or flustered. This is a very useful trait when you're going up against some of the Pokemon on this list. This Pokemon knows what it wants. It's going to get what it wants, and it cannot be flustered. It's not going to be easy to intimidate. I think that there's a shot for it. It's not,
yes.
again, it's got the hands for it. It's very quick, very slippery. It's able to get past the defenses, and no one's going to see this thing coming.
Yeah, I did not think of that one. That's actually a really good one. I like Salazzle as a pass catcher.
I think
We'll
it's
go
a
to our,
pick.
our now we'll go to our last offensive position, Lucas, and we're just gonna lump the entire O line together. So sorry, centers, guards, tackles. We're just gonna do O line because we can't do all the positions individually. I am following the course of the great Keanu Reeves movie, The Replacements here, and I'm basically gonna stack out our team, our O line with Hariyamas and Iron Hands.
Okay, I get the point. Break through their defenses and
And
then
also
just knock them.
based on sumo wrestlers, so really good at pushing people around,
Uh huh.
but big, solid, like I feel like they've got a little bit of good movement in them. What this is where I think fake out is going to be really, really useful. Because they can, on the snap, they can just like hit the D lineman real quick, get up in there to keep them from getting to their Passimian quarterback.
All
And
right.
I'm gonna let me drop one more video in here, Lucas. So
Okay.
this is from a show this past summer, but you have Micah Parsons, who is probably one of maybe two or three of the best defensive players in the NFL, maybe the best pass rusher, and he went up against the sumo wrestler.
And the sumo wrestler is the gang. He was betting he couldn't do it.
Yeah, he thought he could go up against the sumo wrestler.
Good luck, I guess. Yeah, no, he ain't moving. Yeah, he's trying. God
Yeah.
bless him.
So
He
I
lost
think I think
$100.
I think an O line of these guys would be really, really solid. Okay, who do you have on your O line?
So for me, oh, it's easy. I'm gonna break the meta. Just throw an Urshifu in there. Done. They break through protective lines. That's what they do. You
Oh,
can't
this is your
stop
this is
them.
your D line. This is your D line. Okay.
I'm talking about the O line. You were talking about the O line, offensive, breaking through things, right?
No, the O line is protecting.
Okay, the O line. Oh, okay. I'm screwing up, so I will save that for later.
Okay.
So the O line.
Um,
Oh, in that case, yeah, no, just I'd pick up Reggie Steele. Just a
Registeel. Okay.
giant slab of metal. Like, good
Registeel.
luck.
They would have to be able to move a little bit, and I don't think Registeel has the best of movement.
Okay, all right. Then okay,
But
all they have
what
to do is just defense. That's what they need to do. Just defend them and keep you safe and make sure they don't go near you.
I did think that anything with wide guard was probably a solid option.
Just a Pelipper just sitting there minding
Yeah,
its own business on the field.
yeah, a
Sure.
Pelipper out there.
That'd be really
Um,
fun. Just all these buff fighting times, legendary monster, and this pelican we found pooping in the parking lot.
so in the arms race that is football, I think that actually having an O line of things with Scrappy would be really useful because as we get to the D line, I think we might get some ghosts.
All right.
So,
Okay. If I understand the rules correctly, I have something that might work. I have something that
okay.
might work. All they have to do is stop people from breaking in, right? That's the
Well,
rule.
so we're flipping to D line. So now we're trying to get through.
If I'm trying to, okay, we're trying to get through, then it's
Yes.
Urshifu. Urshifu 100%. You're done. It's gonna get in. Doesn't matter. It's going to break you apart.
Either version.
Either version will break you through. Heck, you can swap between the two if you want. Um, the only other Pokemon I think that would just be really funny to put it in would be Beware.
Yeah. Beware could
Beware
be
just
great.
literally again. Okay, here's Beware's stats: 6'11", almost 300 pounds.
Yes.
That is a football player. That's a huge dude.
Yeah, that is pretty large, yes.
They have Fluffy. They're defensive. Granted, they could learn Klutz, but we're not going to deal with that. That's my dude. Like that guy's playing a football.
So it'll make you happy, but I thought having Golurk on the D line would be pretty fun.
Go okay. Golurk is my boy. I do appreciate it. I do appreciate Golurk.
Uh got no guard and or Klutz. Um I also was looking at, and they could probably be O line too because of the wide guards left, but Rhyperior and Rhydon I feel like are made to be linemen.
Hmm, that could work. Another out of the box pick. Muck. Do
Okay.
you really want to touch him? Hear me
Oh,
out. Do you want to touch him?
how much are you
No.
getting paid? How much are you getting paid?
Enough that Golden Go can skate on a board made of money.
So
That's my go-to pick. I would literally make my entire line, my entire defensive lineman, just mucks, and they would just go forward. Everyone breaks. No one wants to deal with that.
So we'll move back from the line and we'll go to the linebackers. Now this one I kind of had a little bit of struggles with because there's a lot of variation in the kind of linebackers and what they do, pass rushers, middle linebackers, all that. So it was kind of hard to pinpoint, one that we could do, but I settled on Machamp.
Mhm.
And so you want to be big, solid, and you want to have some good speed. So I figured Machamp is probably the safest bet for a linebacker. He's going to be big, he's going to be solid, he's going to have the hands to fight through blocks at the line, and he's going to be making really solid, sound tackles because how are you going to get away from all four of those arms?
Do you want someone in this position who's intelligent and can basically make those snap judgments and move quickly, or do you want someone who's like a little bit slower but like able to just beat up, or is it a balancing act?
I mean, both are viable, yes. But
Okay.
typically the middle linebacker is your quarterback of the defense.
Okay. In that case, we need a Brady. We need like star power. And there is no star power quite like a Lucario. I'm just saying.
I, so Lucario was kept coming up on my list, but Lucario is so small.
Okay, Lucario is small. It's fair, but he packs a wallop. And I
I mean,
think that should be noted.
he does, but he's literally 120 pounds, and he's not even 4 feet tall.
How big is his mega evolution?
Four
Nope,
three.
still 4-3. Yeah, okay. Never fair enough. Fair
Um,
enough.
I think Lucario might have better luck as like a safety than a linebacker because you can
Okay.
be a little bit more undersized.
All right. I got it. I got my boy. I got one of my favorite Pokemon, Electivire.
Okay, yeah, Electivire was on my list too. It definitely is a
Because
little bit slower.
not only can you fight with your hands, you have tails that are basically tasers. Plus, it's 305 pounds.
Yeah,
Good luck pushing it.
Electivire and Magmortar probably could be pretty solid linebackers. They'd be a great tag.
Honestly, as a replacement QB, Magmortar just shoving the football in its hands and just firing it.
Also, doesn't is one of its abilities is motor drive,
Yeah, no, if you try and zap Electivire, it'll just keep going. It
so it
also
could
knows
just.
Vital Spirit.
Oh,
It's not going to fall
that
asleep.
was another rule that I wanted to put out there, which is no status moves.
Okay, so that's fine. Yeah,
Yeah,
I guess that would be true. A line of Vile Plumes just dusting things.
yeah, no status moves. So then, we'll keep moving through. So now we get into the defensive backs. So we'll start with cornerback, which are typically the players that are lined up with the wide receivers. So you want to be speedy. There's a joke that cornerbacks are just wide receivers who couldn't catch. I thought that Halucha would shine in a cornerback position.
Just
He's
because he
speed,
can jump and catch.
can jump, he's speedy, he's got good hands, he's scrappy. I think that and he's the right size because he's well, I mean, he's definitely like really small. But cornerbacks don't have to be the biggest people.
So he just has to be able to catch it. Like this is like someone who can just catch at any height.
Yes.
All right, I got you covered. How about again? I was just looking at Electivire, saw the Dusknoir.
Dust Noir,
Dusknoir, yeah, he's a, he's literally called the Gripper Pokemon.
but he's so slow. He's not like if you think of like Ambipom's just gonna blow past him.
Yes, but again, the idea is to catch him, right? This thing is literally just grab and hold on to you, and it's constant endurance. It's a huge Pokemon. You'd have to, yes, it could go around you, but this thing is massive. Like this, it holds its arms out wide. It's gonna catch something.
Well, but cornerbacks can't touch receivers or it's a penalty. Like you
Oh.
can jam them at the line, but if you get past 5 yards,
Okay, see, this is
then
why
that's
we
it.
have you. I don't know the rules. I just know hurt the man.
I mean, I think Dust Noir does have. So I'd like maybe I think Dust Noir actually could be a pretty solid lineman. But so then let's go to the last position. We're gonna do safeties, Lucas. Or it's not the last position, the last defensive position. We'll go safety. This is where I'm
Is their
putting
job
Incineroar.
protect quarterback?
No, this is defense.
No.
They are
Okay,
this
sorry. Yeah, I don't.
yeah.
I'm so
Yeah.
bad at this. So bad.
So safety is think of it as like your last line of defense.
Okay.
They're the two that hang back the furthest. Uh this is where I'm putting Incineroar.
I mean, we were bound to put him into something eventually. That stupid Pokemon gets in everyone's list somehow.
It's great. He's popular. Intimidate is a great defensive ability to put out on the field, but there's a particular player that makes me think of Incineroar, and that is a man who played for the Eagles named Brian Dawkins. To give you some context, his nickname was Weapon X.
Like Wolverine.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yes. And I'm going to drop you another video just so you can kind of get the vibe of like what this dude was.
Yeah, no, I don't want to fight that dude. He crawled out like a bear, dude. I don't want to deal with him.
There was a very well known video that was going around when he was getting inducted into the Hall of Fame, where they had a teammate who said that Brian Dawkins came up to him looking at an opposing player, and he said, "I'm gonna take his soul."
Okay. Um sorry, but that video has officially confirmed who it should be. Okay, so what does the safety has to be intimidating, correct?
Yeah,
Terrifying? Yo, Pangoro. He's
Pangoro could be a
literally
pretty
a
solid.
bear.
Yeah, Pangoro could
He's
be a pretty solid strong safety.
he's called the daunting Pokemon. He is 6'11". He is 300 pounds. He has mass and height on Incineroar, I believe. He's
Um,
got Scrappy, he's got Mold Breaker, and Iron Fist. All three perfect for the job.
and how fast is Pangoro?
Angoro is 58.
Okay, so definitely more. I think more of like a strong safety vibe from Pangoro.
No, this man
Uh,
literally would crawl out like a bear. Even though he walks on 2 legs, he would get on his fours and, like, scream at you and, like, try and hype up the crowd by being a jerk.
I mean, he wasn't a jerk. He was just good at football. Did you see the
I know, no,
the?
no, but, like, but on the field, you look like an animal, but, like,
Yes,
in real life, you're like, "No, I'm just a dude. Don't worry about it."
yeah. Did you see the video? The Facebook video I dropped.
No, I only saw the one where he crawled out like a bear. Give me 1
Uh,
second.
check. Yeah, check one more time.
I'm gonna take his soul. I want to see how bad he wants to play. Next play, they run a route behind me. Brian Dawkins.
Jesus Christ. I'm gonna take his soul.
Yeah.
I wanna see how bad he wants it. Jeez Louise.
So we have a defensive backfield of Incineroar and Pangoro. I don't think anybody wants to mess with that.
I don't want to go near them. That's the game right there. Like, I don't want I think Pangoro is the better safety personally. Yes, Incineroar has Intimidate. He has the fake out. He has all the popularity and cool. I think Pangoro is the perfect dark horse candidate for this.
Well, the good news is you need two safeties, so we can
Oh,
have
fantastic. Then I'm doing a great job. Hooray me.
now because it's football and we will treat all positions equally. We will do kickers and punters. Or no, punter. I wanted Hitmonlee,
Okay.
and then kicker. I was thinking Cinderace.
Cinderace? I
Yes.
mean, yeah, no, no, no. You did watch the replacements then. Yeah, no, just get a soccer player.
Yeah. I thought that like you could sure Hitmonlee could probably do both equally, but I feel like the soccer style kicking of Cinderace would come a little bit more in handy. Like I feel like they're either one are viable options for both kicking positions.
I believe, now hear me out. Your Hitmon Lee is good. I would go Hitmontop.
Okay.
It's pure kicks. Okay, so I'm sure Hitmonlee could kick that sucker and whale it, but I think Hitmontop, just the flurry of that coming at you, there's showmanship to it. There's a style to it. He's Brazil. He understands that there's an element of elegance to it. I think
Yes.
he'd appreciate it.
So we are coming up on a little bit of time, Lucas. How long have we been recording?
I don't know, long enough to have a good time.
Okay, yeah, we'll start wrapping up. Now, we do need a coach. I was trying to keep it as much Pokemon as possible. I feel like it's a pretty easy answer to say the coach is Oranguru. No?
Yeah, Oranguru. See, I want the coach to be like an actual human because I think it's just funnier. And I was
Like
going through it, like,
Michael Caine and the Muppets rule.
yeah, Michael Caine and the Muppets rule. It's basically everyone is a Pokemon except for one person. Now, I was looking at all the gym leaders, and I've come to two conclusions.
Oh wait,
One,
sorry. Wait, give me 1 second, Lucas. Uh, I like Oranguru or maybe like Alakazam, some kind of psychic type. I feel like they're probably the best bets for coaches. If
yeah,
we were
big
gonna
brain
go
play.
human, though, if we were gonna go human, I feel like we would go gym leaders. So, what gym leader would you put in charge of a team?
Okay, first off, while going through the list, Larry is straight up dressed like a soccer coach, like with the suit and everything, looking really nice. Like he looks like an Italian soccer coach. Second, yo, it's got to be Clay. Clay is 100% running that. Then again, same league, Drayden. Do you really want to challenge Drayden's play? Imagine you're the referee and that dude, Drayden, the dragon bearded psychopath, walks up to you like, what do you mean he wasn't in?
Okay, all good options. I was
Okay.
gonna go with Koga.
Koga, like Ninja Koga.
Yes, because of strategy. He's
Oh, you're going for the smart.
he's setting traps. He's setting you up throughout the course of the game. I feel like Koga would be a really solid coach.
Okay.
And to show that he is a good coach, I believe he is actually the only gym leader to have coached a gym leader in another game.
So that's mentorship. So I can understand where you're coming from. And again, there's also, I mean, okay, wait. Kabu from Galar is one of the only other true athletes that we have in as gym leaders as well.
Yes, that's Kabu is a pretty solid one too. Yes.
Kabu would work for that. The only thing I truly believe after all of this, the owner of the team, it has to be Giovanni. I'm
Well,
sorry.
let's be- the
It's
only
just
the only people in Pokemon games that have enough money to do it are the bad guys.
Yeah, no, 100%. I truly believe that if we were gonna do this, the Pokemon teams would be each run by different villainous organizations, and that would just be the plot. It's like trying to find the conspiracy of like, oh, which one of these guys are the bad guys? Oh, wait, they're all bad guys. You would have the Team Rocket All Stars versus the Team Galaxy Cosmos, just battling it out for turf on the street, but
Yeah.
also the football games as proxy games for money laundering.
I
Like
mean,
that's
isn't Lysander an industrialist?
yeah, Lysander is a pure industrialist. Oh, what's her name? What's her face? Crazy mom girl.
Lucamine?
Lucamine. Lucamine would 100% be like the super hot owner to the team, but just the absolute worst human being. Like they got it because their husband died in mysterious circumstances. They now run the team and they run it well, but they run it through cold-fisted science and logic. They basically moneyball the entire system.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Giovanni is just like, yeah, no, pay off the other team or just break their legs or something. Like they are the shadiest dudes on the planet.
Secret underdog owner, the bike shop owner who sells overpriced bikes.
Oh, the bike shop owner. Yeah, he'd be up there. Oh, the guy who got kicked out of the league is the guy who runs the casinos in Kanto because they don't allow those in the games anymore. Trying to think if
So
there's any. Yeah,
uh
yeah,
I think
we're
those
over
are
time, but
yeah, we're coming up on it, but that was sort of how I saw filling out a football roster with Pokemon. Honestly, this is one I would love to hear in the comments any other thoughts that people listening might have. Ones that we did not touch. I thought anything with competitive would be pretty solid. Like I thought Wigglytuff would be a good option. Didn't get to fit it in there. So if you have thoughts on there, please throw them in the comments. Share. I think this is a pretty fun what if sort of situation.
I think it's also nice too because there's this weird. I mean, it's 2025. It's an old stereotype, but the idea that nerds don't love sports and like sports people don't love video games is stupid. Like,
Yeah,
there's
go
so
look up
many
any
different.
look up any interview of Jamal Williams. It will make you happy.
That dude is a freaking weeb. Jamal Williams is hard weeb. Like he's not a nerd. That man, more than likely, I don't care how many women have been out with him. That man has a secret room filled with anime girl figurines. Bet on it. 100%. He reeks of weeb. Yeah, no, they're a bunch of dorks. And honestly, I think the coaches like it because it keeps them out of trouble. Well, I cannot wait to watch the big game after I edit this episode. I want to thank you so much, Chris, for putting this together. Thank you guys so much again. Have a wonderful rest of your gamer night. Oh, sorry. Before we go, who do you want to win the superb owl?
I am a fan of an NFC East team, so I would like the Eagles to not win.
Well, for the sake of Philly's infrastructure, I hope they lose. Good night, everyone. Thanks for coming out.